Man. Oh, so I'm on my way to church this morning. I will say this. I learned, again, a valuable lesson. Let me start out by saying this. Anyone that's talked to me or knows me has had this conversation with me that I feel that personal, spiritual, and business all intertwined. Okay, in some shape, form, or fashion, you got to conduct yourself in the same manner. There is no business side of you, there is no personal side, there is no spiritual side. They all have to be conducted in the same manner. Okay? So, what I mean by that is this: you have to have the same core values when you're dealing with business, personal, spiritual. Number one is, in my opinion, you have to put God first. All right? I'm going to give you all a glimpse of what I'm looking at. All right. The first thing you do, you have to put God first in everything that you do. I mean, you have to follow His commandments, and you got to follow His teachings. And one of His teachings is be quick to listen and slow to anger. I struggle with that sometimes. Learned a lesson the other day. I read a text message from someone, and it didn't sound all that great. Okay, I mean, it sounded kind of nasty, or when I read it, it read nasty. So I replied in kind. You don't do that. You don't do that. So I'm segue from that to this. I've heard somebody ask one time, when can you stop being the bigger person? You can't. That is something that you cannot do. You can't stop being the bigger person. If you fight fire with fire, or an eye for an eye, it doesn't end up well. You have to be the person that has the cooler head, that can get through a situation without confrontation. Who is this? Oh, heading to church. So back to the story. They each comment or each text message that came back read nasty. I respond nasty. Well, I ain't gonna say I responded nasty. I responded stern. When we finally got on the phone and talked to each other, and realized that we both overreacted to the text. All right. Hold on a minute. Hello. He said that he didn't mean it the way I took it. And he apologized. I apologized. And like I told him, I was like, look, man, from now on, if there's any issues or if you got anything you need to tell me, just call me. You know, text messages are just quick messages. They're not meant for full-blown conversations, in my opinion. So, you know, that's we resolved it though. You know what I mean? We talk like men. We got our grievances out, and understanding. Now we're back on the same page. It didn't escalate. It didn't go as far as it could have went, and I'm thankful for that. I really am. Folks, we have to try. Thank you for the like. Folks, we have to try to keep our integrity intact. We have to try with every fiber of our being to be the bigger person, to be the rational person in the room. And I'm not gonna get political, but I am gonna talk about what I see. And what I see around me is that people have adopted an attitude of I can say whatever I want to you, and you're gonna take it. And I'm not gonna. This was not the case between me and this gentleman. That was not the case, but I thought it was. Because this is the era that we live in. You know what I'm saying? This is the era that we live in where people can just, they think they can just pop off and be disrespectful, but you're not supposed to say anything back. And when I look back on my response, I know I could have handled that in 100 different ways. Like I said, my response was not nasty, but it was stern, and the response was to let him know that I did not appreciate that comment. Now, I could have picked up the phone, and hindsight's 2020, and what I should have done was picked up the phone, called, and been like, what do you mean by that? Right? What do you mean by that? Talk to me. That way, we could have got all that out in the open, and all the extra stuff may not have happened. So I'm telling you all this to let you know, hey, try to handle things without being confrontational. And when it doesn't work, there's always ways out. You know, you can end the conversation. Sometimes you have to end relationships. You know, so I'm talking about business, personal. Sometimes you have to end relationships. Sometimes in the spiritual world to tell you, the person's not for you. Pray for them from a distance. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. Fortunately, everything worked out. Now, it don't always work out like that. I've had some conversations where it didn't work out. That's good. But I know, I just thank God that He gives me the enough wherewithal to how can I put this? To admit when I'm in the wrong, or to take ownership of my part of the situation. Because when I'm right, I'm gonna stand on it. When I'm wrong, I'm gonna apologize. I'm gonna try to fix it. So that was a good experience. It was a good experience. And I'll tell you another thing. I'm gonna tell you all this too. All right. So another thing that happened with that experience is I got convicted, man. God was talking to me. He was like, "Hey, you got to make this right. This is not how I wanted you to handle this." And He would not leave me alone. And finally, He created a situation where we could talk. Because when I talked to the gentleman, he was telling me the same thing. It was bothering him. And he wanted to make it right. So, I can say, without a shadow of a doubt, it was a happy ending. We ended with some laughs. We told him it's under the bridge. Speak on it anymore. We're gonna try to work through some of this stuff, and that's all right. That does my heart good. I slept well. I slept well. I can say that. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you guys. I had a couple of shows come on yesterday. Wayland Enterprises is live. I think it was 45 and 46. This is sort of the conclusion of those lives, and this is sort of the outcome of what happened with one of the lives. Now the other one, I did have a conversation with a person, and you know, I had a conversation with my cousin the other day, and he was just telling me, he was like, you know, he doesn't like doing all that whispering and behind people's backs. He wants to go and confront the person, let them know, hey, this is what's going on, or I heard you had a problem with me, let's work it out. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I wholeheartedly agree with that approach. I'm gonna do my best to adopt that approach, because you're not gonna get nothing done when you just backbiting people and you're talking about them all the time behind their backs. You need to go ahead and say what you need to say. You know what I'm saying? And even with the other gentleman, you know, we got things worked out. I know there are some things that were said in private that I'm not gonna bring up. Because at the end of the day, he didn't say them to me, so it must not have been that important. So I'm gonna leave that alone, and that's the best way to handle it. Let's move forward. He knows where I stand. I know where I stand. Let's work from there. And that's what I'm trying to do with this other gentleman. I'll let him know where I stood. He understands. This is where he stands, and we're going to work from there. But at the end of the day, if you have an issue, you need to find the solution. Don't dwell on that issue. Don't let it fester. Don't let it set, and don't let it grow. Don't let the issue grow. grows, it can grow out of control. Let's see what we got out here. Alright, I've ran my mouth enough. I'm going to let y'all enjoy this ride. This is a beautiful day, another beautiful day that the Lord has made, and I appreciate it. And I just wanted, also, when I got on here to tell y'all this story, I just wanted you all to realize that people aren't perfect, including myself. I make mistakes. I misinterpret. So, in order to get grace, you got to give grace. And at the end of the day, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the flip side of that. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Sometimes we make mistakes. Guess what? We don't make mistakes all the time. And there are some times where you do have to stand your ground, but there are ways to do it. Right? There are ways to do it. And if people aren't receptive to those ways, if you've tried everything that you know to try to get a certain outcome or to get people to treat you with respect, then it's time that you find a way out of the situation. There has to be an exit strategy. That's the same thing in business. You have to have an exit strategy, right? So you got to find that exit strategy. And you get the hell out. Excuse my language. What you do, you get out. That's, like I said, that's personal, business, spiritual. If you're in church and you ain't liking what's going on, then you remove yourself. Pray about it and you move on. If you're got your own business, or if you're just working for a job and a job decides that they think they're going to they're going to talk to you any kind of daggone way, or they're going to try to treat you any kind of way, you have avenues. You've got ways of taking care of that. First of all, you got to pray about it and ask God to guide you where you need to be. Because just diplomacy might stop it if you just let them know, hey, I'm just not happy with how things are going. And explain yourself. And if that doesn't work, I can only speak for here in the U.S. There are laws in place that if it's bad enough, that will protect you and get you justice. There's all kinds of ways. If you are if you're in a labor union, you go through that process. You can go through the EEOC. Or you can go and use a lawyer and go through the court system. If your leaders and HR don't want to listen, or they're just corrupt, you don't have to lay down and take it. You don't. And it could be just as simple as, you know what? This job ain't worth it. Let me go find something else. Sometimes that is an option for people. Sometimes the pay is not where it needs to be anyway, so you can afford to move on. There are some people the pay is just too good for them to move on. So then now you got to take matters in a different direction. Let's see what we got here. But I'm really praying that this era is a short era of the keyboard warrior. You know what I mean? Of the I can say what I want to, and I got action. And if you have any rebuttal whatsoever, I'm gonna try to make you the bad guy. And that's what happens. That happens all the time. I'm sitting here and I'm watching world leaders. Well, I can say world leaders. One world leader going around calling people fat, stupid, this, that, the other, and just because they ask him questions that he don't like, but he never answers the question. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna even get into that. I'm gonna leave that one alone. At the end of the day, when you listen to people and they don't answer any questions directly, any of them, whether it be questions in their favor, they dance around them. They don't give you any type of answers, any type of clarity. That means they don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't have a clue. That's all I'm going to say about that. Appreciate you guys rolling with me. This is Riding with Tim. I'm just rambling on right now. Just wanted to let you guys know what was going on, how things were handled, and hopefully you can apply some of this. I'm praying that some of this is of value for you. What we got going on up here? here. Hey, how are you doing? Thank you for coming back and checking on me. See here, hold on just a second. I'll read your stuff. I do remember you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, I got the. Well, yes. I don't know if you're a ma'am or a sir. I'm sorry, but yes, I did. I did see your pictures, and you got a nice fish tank. Please, I hope you're turning. Thank you, Lord. I could already been at church already. Thank you guys for the light. Yeah, I'm gonna go out here and do the church service, and then I'm probably gonna head back to the house. Hopefully. Oh, really? Where do you ski? Okay. Oh, wow. Wow. I've never been on that side of the world. I would love to go at least one time in my life. There are a few countries, quite a few countries I would love to see over there. Road's rough today. Phone just bouncing around. What you doing? Hold on, and I'll try to read what you got going on. Okay. Thank you for tuning in. You have a good night. Yeah, this is a good day to drive. Really nice out today. This just takes me back to my childhood when we used to go see my aunt, my cousin, and my uncle. They used to live back that way, and we load in the car, and no more than probably about a 10-minute trip, but it seemed like it took forever when you were a kid.